To work with length or perimeters, we need to sometimes change the units of the measurement that we're working on. Now, length is usually described as the distance between 2 points, and the perimeter is the outside distance of a closed shape. But what we're going to look at here is just converting units. We're going to always start at the largest. I'm going to give you a little way of doing this. If you remember this, it's going to be much easier to do area and volume later on. So the one diagram that you're just going to adapt for the others as well. So we're going to start with the biggest one that we use, and that is kilometers. We're then going to use the second biggest that we use, and usually kilometers, it will be meters. Then from meters we'll go to centimeters, and from centimeters we're going to go to millimeters. Now, to remember the distances in between, just remember the following. If we have 1 kilometer, so if we have 1 kilometer, this 1 kilometer exists of 1,000 meters. So in this 1 kilometer, there's 1,000 meters in there. Okay, so we know that in 1 kilometer, we have 1,000 meters. In 1 meter, I have 100 centimeters. And in 1 centimeter, I have 10 millimeters. And now that I have to remember is if I go from the one to the other, what do I do? Multiply or divide? So if I'm going to go from there to there, or from there to there, or from there to there, what do I do? And if I go in the opposite direction, what do I do? Now the easiest way to remember this is, if I have 1 kilometer, I have 1,000 meters. So from 1 to 1,000, I have to multiply, which means if I go from the biggest to the smaller one, I multiply, and when I go back, I divide. So if I go from millimeters to centimeters, I will divide by 10. To go from millimeters to meters, I will divide by 100. From meters to kilometers, I will divide by 1,000. If you can remember this sketch, the volume and the area will be so much easier. So this is something that you have to go and remember. If I go from 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters, that's why 1 times 10 will give us 10 millimeters. So multiply that direction, divide in that direction. In example 1, they're asking us to convert 5.2 centimeters to the unit in brackets. So this is the way that you have to write it down. To go from centimeters to millimeters, there's always more millimeters than centimeters. For every 1 centimeter, there's 10, which means in 5.2, I'm going to multiply, going from centimeters to millimeters, I'm going to times by 10. So I'm going to say this equals 5.2 times 10, and that will equal 52 millimeters. Always stop and think if you're making sense. 5.2 centimeters is about that long. In that distance, 5.2 centimeters, is that about 52 millimeters? Stop and think about it, and you go from there. The next question is, take 85 centimeters, convert that to kilometers. Now when I convert centimeters to kilometers, you're always going to have less kilometers than centimeters, because for every 1,000 or for every 100 centimeters, there's 1 meter. And then for every meter, there's 1,000 kilometers. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go from centimeters to meters first. You can do it. I'm going to show you the long cut and the shortcut. So to go from centimeters to meters, I'm going to divide by 100. Now the safest way is to use your calculator. But if I divide by 100, this will cancel that. So that will equal 850 meters. And now I'm going to go from meters, they said, to kilometers. I'm going to divide by 1,000. So divide by 1,000. So I'm going to say divide by 1,000. Safest way is calculator. Otherwise, it's going to go 3 decimal places, 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be 0.85 kilometers.